Hey guys, welcome back. So there's a lot of headlines and videos out there saying that Donald Trump and Republicans are going to cut Social Security benefits. And I'm sure if you're watching this video, you guys have probably seen these headlines. So let's talk about it, where this is coming from, what's actually probably going to happen, what's actually being said. And it's really impossible nowadays to figure out what's true, right? Because one side says one thing, then the other side kind of misconstrues it, then the media misconstrues it, but then social media influencers misconstrue it even more. Because this all started with social media influencers being trusted more, but now, honestly, a lot of people on YouTube, which obviously I know includes me too, people are out there spreading more and more, just as much misinformation as the mainstream media, right? But basically, at a basic level, what's happening is a lot of this has to do with Elon Musk. And I'm going to be honest, I don't like Elon Musk, guys. You think Elon Musk cares about seniors and cares about people who are in retirement and cares about the average person? I really don't think so. Do you think he's in tune? Do you think someone who grew up rich and is like halfway to $1 trillion net worth is in tune with someone who lives paycheck to paycheck, especially someone who's maybe 65 years old, living on rice and beans, can barely pay their rent, can't fix their car if it breaks down? Do you think he's in tune with that? No, he's not, right? But basically what's happening here is, for the longest time, we've had Democrats and Republicans not do enough for Social Security. Not only not do enough for Social Security, but not do enough to prepare the average person to be ready for retirement, right? And what does that mean? That could mean educating them on retirement, not only through, Social Security, obviously, but, 401ks, right? Because essentially what they say now with Social Security is this is a social safety net. Like, you're not supposed to be living off of this as your main income for retirement. But it doesn't seem like they did a well enough job of explaining that to people 20, 30, 40 years ago when they were working. So you had people working, barely making enough money to get by, paying into Social Security each paycheck, and not really having enough money left over to invest because they're in a system where most of the money has been flowing to the top. So the average person is not left with enough money to pay taxes into Social Security and then also invest in a 401k or an IRA, whatever you want to invest in. And there's not the education. So you don't have the financial education being given to the average person to be ready for retirement. Then you also have a system where the average person does not make enough money to pay Social Security taxes and then save for retirement. And then once these folks get to retirement, they say, well, you shouldn't be, depending on this as your main income for retirement. It's really just a social safety net, right? But the whole way there, you weren't really educating people on this, and you weren't putting them in a position to be able to actually make enough money to save for retirement. Okay, so both sides have failed the American people. And this isn't just a problem for people that are retired now, which it's the worst problem for. People that are living paycheck to paycheck, barely getting by. I have people in my family who are retired and are barely getting by. But this is also a problem for future generations, because this problem is only getting worse, right? You have people that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s. What do you think is going to happen to them? The same exact thing, except even worse, even more so worse, because on top of that, best case scenario, what it looks like right now, they're just not going to fix the problem for Social Security, and eventually they're going to have to cut for future generations. Because if they just don't do anything and they wait to the very last minute, all they're going to do most likely, like they've done before, is increase the full retirement age. And then once they do that, if you still take your benefits a little early, then your penalty is even higher, essentially lowering benefits, if that makes sense. So that's kind of our best case scenario, unless we get someone who really advocates for this issue. And again, I don't think this is just an issue for people who are already in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I don't think so. I think people that are my age, people that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, this should be considered a crisis. I mean, like Bernie always says, we're the richest country in the history of the world. We're damn near close to having trillionaires in this world. With like, at the time of making this video, Elon Musk is worth like $400 billion. And yet we have like half of seniors living in poverty. I mean, this is not okay, right? This is a crisis. I don't want to live in poverty. I don't want my friends and family to live in poverty when they're older. I don't want my viewers to live in poverty, right? But essentially what's happening now is, what's been happening is both sides have been failing the American people. Now, for the longest time, Republicans have been open to cutting Social Security benefits, okay? And to be clear, what this mostly means is what they usually want to do is cut it for people who are younger. So if you're already retired, and this is what, just to be fair, because Democrats and liberals, they always want to say, well, Republicans want to cut Social Security, they want to take away your benefits. And, it's a really good talking point for Democrats and liberals. And that's fine, and generally they're right that Republicans don't generally like Social Security. But usually what they're talking about is cutting benefits for the younger people. And that's still bad. I'm not saying it's good. It's actually terrible. And the thing is, both sides should be doing the complete opposite and talking about, first of all, increasing benefits for people who are already on benefits and living paycheck to paycheck, living, under the poverty line or close to the poverty line, giving people some breathing room. And then both sides should be talking about fixing this problem long term for younger people to make it sustainable, right? And there's a lot of things you could do there, and I have a lot of ideas on that we could talk about in other videos. But basically, both sides are not doing a great job with this. Democrats generally have a better tone on the whole Social Security issue. Republicans have a worse tone. It's bad, but Democrats actually usually exaggerate it, right? They usually exaggerate what Republicans are saying. So usually Republicans are saying they want to cut benefits for younger people, but not really for the people already on Social Security. But then Democrats kind of extrapolate that to say, well, they want to cut your benefits too if you're already on benefits. That's not really true. But at the end of the day, I think if you're already retired, so let's say if you're 65, 62, 70, whatever it is, and you're already on benefits, that should still piss you off, right? Because you don't want your children and your grandchildren and your friends and family who are younger than you being even more in poverty, right? So just because that doesn't affect you now, and they won't cut your benefits, but they're going to cut someone else's benefits, that doesn't mean that should not piss you off. That should piss you off. And that does piss me off. But it also pisses me off that the Democrats haven't done anything either. I mean, we used to hear about this and talk about this a lot in like 2020, 2021, when like Bernie really got big, I think in like 2015, when he was running up against Hillary Clinton in the primaries, and then again in 2020 against Biden. And pretty much that whole time, which he's always talked about Social Security, but that whole time from like 2015 to 2020, since he was running, that really came to the forefront. Social Security benefits, retirement planning. Let's get people, in a good place. Let's help people who are already retired. Let's teach people who are younger how to prepare for retirement. Let's also fix the system so they even have enough money left over to even do that once they're educated. So all of these things really put together just put us in a place where neither side is really fixing the problem, right? Democrats aren't fixing the problem, but then they're demonizing Republicans for also not fixing the problem and wanting to make it worse, which they technically do. But they're throwing rocks at a glass house, right? They're not fixing the problem either. But I just wanted to clear the air, guys, because there's a lot of videos out there and a lot of headlines saying that Republicans want to cut benefits. And realistically, I mean, I've watched a lot of interviews here. I can try and post some in the comments of this video. For the most part, what they want to do is, one way or another, either directly or indirectly, lower benefits for people who are younger, people who are, I think, below like 50 years old or below 40 years old, something like that, just to try and kind of kick the can down the road. It won't really solve the problem, but what'll happen is people like me who are in their 30s will get even less money for Social Security, having paid in the same our entire lives, and then we'll be even more broke at retirement. And then by the time I retire, the same problem is going to be happening anyway, and they'll probably just keep cutting it again for the next generation, kicking the can down the road. And then you kind of get the picture here, right? Long term, they're basically slowly kind of phasing out Social Security. So they have to fix the problem, right? They're not fixing the problem. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you think Republicans are trying to cut benefits, if they're trying to only cut benefits for younger people, if that pisses you off like it pisses me off. And yeah, guys, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.